on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin Jackowitz here with the Kaged review, and I'm going to review Monday Night Raw, and that is for October 15th, 2018. And I gotta say, not bad overall. I'm going to get into it step by step and let you know what I think of each thing. I'll try to do it quickly because 3 hours is a lot to go over when they have all these little bits and pieces, like little promos backstage, and so sometimes these can get a little bit longer. I'm going to try to start shortening them up a little bit. To get right into it, you start out with Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre. They're doing a promo in the ring. Basically, they crack the Shield, blah, blah, blah. Reigns and Rollins interrupts them. There is no Dean Ambrose here. So, okay, Reigns and Rollins start firing back, and basically it leads into the first match of the night, which is for a spot in this tourney they're doing at Crown Jewel, which I don't know really makes any sense, to be very honest. But be that as it may, Rollins goes up against Drew McIntyre, and the match itself is really good. And of course you're going to have people interfering. You've got Dolph Ziggler interfering, and you've got Roman Reigns, I think it was. But either way, it's like these guys, they just had a match last week. They had their match at the last big pay-per-view in Australia. And it's like they've been carrying this feud, I think, honestly, a little bit too far. I think it's kind of losing steam now. And they are kind of changing direction, thankfully. But they really, 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 really need to do something fresh with this or move on to something different. So, what eventually happens, Rollins gets the win over McIntyre because the interference just kind of caught up with McIntyre. So, alright, Rollins is now into this Crown Jewel match. After that, you've got Brothers of Destruction. They have a promo on the Titantron, and it's essentially, you know, DX had 3 words for them. Are you ready? We have 3 words for you. Rest in peace. And that was the sum of the whole promo. Ember Moon and Nia Jax after that take on Tamina and Dana Brooke. This match it was a throwaway match for me, honestly. It was something they threw together, you could tell. And they tried to have stakes for this like battle royal that they've created now for the Women's Evolution pay-per-view. And essentially what's going on is after the match is won, Tamina and Nia Jax go face to face. Tamina super kicks Nia Jax, throws her over the rope. Then Ember Moon tries to throw Tamina over the top rope. Now keep in mind, nothing has been built up between any of these women. None of this makes any sense. There's literally no heat behind it whatsoever. I thought it was a stupid bit, to be very honest. And then at the end, Dana Brooke winds up throwing Ember Moon and Tamina over the top rope, and she's the last woman in the ring. Dana Brooke, I don't know, man. I'm not really big on her. She's got a couple of cool moves in the ring, but promo work, in-ring work, honestly, all the way around, I'm just not very big on her. So, and honestly, she hasn't built the belt up for anything. Now, maybe she'll get a good spot and she'll do something with it. And I hope so. I've always said that I hope that anybody can make something happen. Backstage, you get this weird conversation with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable talking to Kurt Angle. Chad Gable stealing Bobby Roode's thunder still. Baron Corbin, after Chad Gable and Bobby Roode walk away, talk to Angle, says he's going to be in a match later for, you know, what he did last week against both members of the AOP. So, I don't know. You come in after that, you got Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler, another good match, another match with interference, and it essentially becomes all 3 members of each faction out there at the end, and it just turns into chaos. Dolph Ziggler does get the win on Dean Ambrose because Seth Rollins screwed up, and he distracted Dean Ambrose outside the ring. Ambrose comes in, Dolph Ziggler nails him, and so it's building up friction between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, like Dean Ambrose is about to blow a gasket or whatever. Then Baron Corbin interrupts the Shield as they're walking up the ramp and they're kind of arguing amongst each other. Roman Reigns is trying to figure it all out. Baron Corbin makes the match again, same match as last week, the Shield versus Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. And again, I just think it's overuse. They really focused on this show, and I kind of feel like they're doing it a bit much. Backstage after that, Strowman, he's talking to Ziggler and McIntyre, and he says to both of them, if they screw up this time, he's going to, make sure they get these hands, blah, blah, blah. Finn Balor with Bayley has a match against Jinder Mahal with Alicia Fox. And that was pretty straightforward. No interference from the girls in this one. It was just basically another thrown together. I don't know why they have this feud. Not a squash match, but it might as well have been. Then Finn Balor toward the end, he hits the coup de grace, gets the win. After that, Finn Balor is still in the ring. Bobby Lashley comes out. He does this little pose thing in front of Finn Balor and then walks away. And then it's Bobby Lashley versus Tyler Breeze, which you could tell was thrown together, and it's an absolute squash match, and it was pointless. Bobby Lashley gets the win. Lio Rush is talking mess through the whole match, doing his heel bit, and that was that. Trish Stratus and Lita, after that, are in the ring doing a promo, and they get her interrupted by Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. And Alexa Bliss has always been very, very good at promo work, I think. And I actually think she's making Mickie James better, to be honest. And Mickie James she's definitely somebody who's been there a while and knows the ropes. But Alexa Bliss, man, she's just that damn good at promo work. So it was essentially, you guys are here for nostalgia, but nostalgia fades. You guys haven't had a match in forever. Lita and Trish say, well, we can warm up with you guys. And of course, being the heels, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James don't go out there. Then you get this really weird backstage bit with Bayley and the Riot Squad, and the Riot Squad's picking on Bayley, and who knows why. No real point to that. Then you get your Authors of Pain squash match with this guy who's supposed to be Kurt Angle dressed up in his outfit that he was in last week where you couldn't see his face, got a mask, and looks like a little luchador. AOP squash him. Turns out they pull off the mask. It's not Kurt Angle. It's a nobody. Baron Corbin's on the ramp. Kurt Angle comes up behind him, puts the Angle Slam on the ramp. So that was that. Kind of cool. Honestly, I did like that bit. And then you get Natalya with Bayley and Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is back. I don't know if she's going to be wrestling again, but I think they're testing it out. Apparently, the rumor going around the campfire is that she's had some really nagging back issues. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just what I've heard. It would make sense because she did look a little unsteady in the ring. But whatever the case, it's Natalya versus Ruby Riott. Of course, Ruby Riott's got the rest of the squad there. And Sarah Logan basically ends the match by clipping Natalya when she was about to put Ruby Riott in the sharpshooter, and then the chaos ensues. All 6 girls are fighting, and it turns out that Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Natalya wind up on top. Then you get a backstage Elias bit that turns into an in-ring Elias bit where he's doing his, thing with the guitar and the spotlight. And Apollo Crews interrupts him, and he says, I'm tired of guys like you getting noticed before me. And Elias acts like he's going to take off his coat and attack Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews nails him with a nice kick and then does this nice press slam, and he just holds him there for a while. So maybe they're going to try to actually do something with a guy as talented as Apollo Crews. Because in the ring, the guy is kind of amazing sometimes. And the last match of the night is the Shield versus Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. And I like this for a few reasons. Now, they're building up this thing with, is Dean Ambrose really getting ready to backstab the Shield or whatever? But they've also had the same thing going where there's a lot of friction between Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. And so what happens is there are some moments in the match where Rollins bumps into Dean Ambrose on accident or is pushed into Ambrose. And that kind of feeds a fire. The chaos ensues, of course. And the big part is that while the chaos is going on, they hit the triple powerbomb on Ziggler to get the win. And after that, Braun Strowman comes into the ring and he says, I told you were going to get these hands, does the power slam on Dolph Ziggler, and as he's kind of put his arms up and he's celebrating, McIntyre comes out of nowhere, hits him with a Claymore kick, puts Braun Strowman down, and then he just walks out of the ring, McIntyre does, and really looks like... I've been saying that he's had some good clean wins lately for a heel, and it looks like they're really pushing him, and the big thing about that is that this really makes it look like he's going into the main event scene now. McIntyre by himself. And that would be very cool. He's still tag team champion with Dolph Ziggler, but McIntyre I think deserves it. The guy is huge. He's like 6'5", like what, 250, 260, and can move like a cruiserweight. Like the guy can do backflips and you know, he does flips over the top rope. He can do the suicide dive. For a guy that big, to have the look, to have the muscle, but to still have the agility is amazing. So I thought it was a very good thing. So overall, I did kind of like this Raw. I really did. I like what they were doing. Now, at the end of the day, the Shield, they kind of look like they just made up and they got the win over Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre, and so everything's happy now. So that would have been a waste of a storyline. Because, you know, they could have played with it and had it been like it was all the Shield setting them up or something like that. But we'll see. But I did like the intro. I liked a couple of the matches here. I liked Rollins and McIntyre. I liked the Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. I did like the last match. Natalya and Ruby Riott was decent for what it was. I liked the promo with Alexa Bliss. I did not necessarily like the Trish Stratus Lita part of that. You know, they're out of practice, and I don't know if it was just the cheese of the promo that they were doing or what, but it didn't necessarily work for me. There were some throw-in matches that I could have done without, like the little women's battle royal match with Ember Moon, Nia Jax, Tamina, Dana Brooke. I wasn't really big into that. And you know, Finn Balor, Jinder Mahal, they've had that little feud going. I'm not a fan of Jinder. And Finn Balor, man, he can be good, but honestly, at other times, he could just be the same old thing. So, I wasn't a big fan of that either. You don't make Bobby Lashley look like a monster by feeding him Tyler Breeze, somebody that's not even half his size. So, but overall, I did like it. It wasn't great, but it was good. I did stay entertained, so I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think that's fair. I usually don't give shows like this that much, but because they were working on a specific storyline throughout the show, and they had a conclusion to it where it kind of leaves you wondering what's going to happen next week, I think that was good. I think that they're building that. So it was nice, and I really like the fact that they are building McIntyre. So 6.5 out of 10, that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I being too generous? Am I not being generous enough? Give me some thoughts. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation, out.